Rewind the Dynamite from the post-wrestling site. AEW, lighting up the fuse. Sit back and enjoy the bubbly. As we hear from John and Waiting. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And if the buck stops here, this thing might blow. Everything you hear are opinions of the show. And if you don't like it, go to the forums and let them know.
Yes, we are here. It is John Pollock, and it is not an optical illusion. It is Wei Ting, back in Canada, back on Rewind to Dynamite. Welcome, Mr. Ting.
I'm back, a little bit more tanned than usual.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, SPF 50, and I'm very happy to be back in this seat. But I want to thank everybody who have helped contribute and allowed me to take a really, really enjoyable first vacation. I want to say in like 2 years or something like that. So thank you very much for that.
A lot of sore shoulders while you were gone. Way, it's not easy to pick up what you're carrying.
Oh please, you guys are more than fine. Can I go away for maybe like 3 months next time?
Well, you could maybe be our new MMA correspondent. How about that?
Oh sure, of course, yes.
Did you watch more MMA than you did pro wrestling on your week off?
I certainly did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Because I did not watch really any pro wrestling at all.
Well, you're all caught up then. You missed a hell of a SmackDown that you saddled me with on Friday.
I did my AEW catch up today. I'll save tomorrow for my WWE catch up.
All right. Well, tonight we are heading to Portland, Maine for the first of 2 straight weeks of 3-hour Dynamites. Yes, they're doing this again next Wednesday. 2,846 fans, according to WrestleTix. So again, it's in line with a lot of these weekly shows that are really, it's like the outliers that are going any significant amount above that. But on the other side, Double or Nothing is a really big number. It looks like they will have a legit sellout on Sunday. And this is their 4th largest gate in company history and 2nd highest in the U.S. behind Allin, Texas last year. So Double or Nothing has been a major success for them coming up this Sunday. We start off with a video earlier in the day with Jericho and the Young Bucks out by the water in Portland, talking about the largest stadium stampede ever. And they had to address the past history of the Elite and the Inner Circle. And that the Bucks bring up, you beat up our father. And Jericho apologizes for this. And Nick just says, it's water under the bridge. I'd be pissed if I was Papa Buck. Water under the bridge? I gave you life. And you forgive him like that?
Listen, all 3 of these men are very devout Christians, and I mean they practice forgiveness. I think on a regular basis.
Jericho should have offered up Ted Irvine as a peace offering. It's like you can like Meltzer driver him or something. So they have to come up with a name because they're teaming tonight. So the Bucks suggest the Bucks of Jericho. Jericho suggests Y2 Jackson, and so they come up with the Bucks of Jericho, or is it Y2 Jackson? That's the name. And then they say over and over, 2 names, 1 team. 2 names, 1 team. That forced anyone in our age demographic to have to think of 2 girls, 1 cup.
Which is, I think, the intent.
That's a really old reference. Like, that's a really old reference that I don't know if that would land with too many people.
Chris Jericho is a really old reference, John. Like, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, we reference his career. When was Y2J a thing?
So in his mind, okay, let's say his inspiration was 2 girls, 1 cup. Is the hope that people will search what this is and find it? Because what are they in store for if they find this?
I mean, so the hope is that you already know what they're talking about, which many people would. Like, have you seen the demos recently for the show? I mean, like, we're talking about people our age who probably know.
This is definitely on the upper scale of the 25 to 54 demo.
Yeah, I would still say, like, if you've seen it, it'll linger in your memory for decades.
Maybe it did for Jericho. Maybe he just saw it. Maybe he thought this was new.
Possibly.
Okay. Well, thankfully, they said this was earlier in the day because that explained how they got team jackets made this afternoon in those couple of hours. Amazing. Yeah. was what an endorsement here of Pro Wrestling Tees or whoever it was that had to put these together for them.
I thought it was cute. I mean, listen, the team name stuff is whatever. I think all the suggestions are pretty terrible, which is maybe the intent. But the fact that they had matching gear of both of these terrible names, I thought made it pretty adorable.
Would it suggest they're going to do something beyond this Sunday? Because this seemed like a lot of effort for a match tonight and Sunday.
But you're talking about, remember, like the Y2AJ, you know, like getting gear made just for like a one night thing is not out of the question, I would say.
Well, it's Jericho and the Bucks against Ricochet, Mark Davis, and Andrade El Idolo. This match feels like it happened so long ago, way. Like I literally have to go through my notes to remind myself. So Jericho hit a high cross to the floor. This was a very pro Chris Jericho crowd. They were chanting Y2J. They were really into him here. The three, Jericho and the Bucks, hit triple Ranas off the turnbuckles after they were trying to get their punches in sync, and that was less so.
It was tough.
Yeah,
like were they trying to like do one beat each, like in a round?
They were, but it felt like Nick and Matt were in sync, and Jericho's like looking, and then for the final couple, they all just they almost just like forget it. The people only want to see the Ranas, and they did hit the Ranas like 1, 1, 1. It was tough, I guess, to get all three in sync. Yeah, it was. But I was watching this. I'm like, this is probably supposed to be a lot smoother than it is because I'm just watching. I'm like, what are they doing here? It's like Morse code for wrestling punches. Nick comes off of Matt's back for a destroyer and hits the BTE trigger to Andrade. That's broken up by the Rico Salt. And Jericho and Ricochet fight to the timekeeper's area, and Jericho back suplexes Ricochet. They go through the table. They're dead. Andrade misses the spinning elbow, taking out partner Mark Davis, and he takes the BTE trigger, but kicks out of it. And as they set up for the Meltzer driver, in run the Dogs. And Finlay hits a shillelagh to Matt, allowing Andrade to get the pin in 13 minutes and 13:56. All of this happening behind Aubrey's back. That was followed by GOA getting involved, Jack Perry coming out with the loudest pants you have ever seen since the early 90s, and a bag of onions that I'm sure someone will tell me what this signifies. I had no idea, nor did I have. Like, was this just onions, or is this like, dude, didn't you see like the 4th hour of Anna Jay's stream? They have onion. I don't know. I didn't know what this was, but there were onions.
I don't know if I mean, we'll let the audience correct us if this was specifically referencing anything, but I imagine maybe he just like went into catering asking like, what ridiculous item can I grab from here to use as a weapon?
He found the most ridiculous.
Yeah, that he did. I mean, it conveys maybe some of the tone of like what you might expect out of a stadium stampede, you know.
Funyuns.
Funyuns.
Okay. The Hurt Syndicate are out next, and it ends with a spear to Toa. And I thought this was all leading up to Omega would be the last one out, but there was no Kenny Omega on the show at all.
Yeah, well, maybe he was looking for his own vegetables. Couldn't find any.
He
took the onions.
Okay, he's going to show up with like cucumbers on Sunday. You got to pay for Kenny's vegetables.
I thought the opener was a lot of fun, as most Young Bucks multi-man matches are, and I think like Jericho like fits in really well, like in sort of comedic tone, as you kind of saw in that opening segment, plus just the bold attempt at like those 10 punches in sync, whatever they were meant to be, you know. And I think like they really exhibited like a level of creativity that you've come to expect from all three of them. And I continue to marvel at how positive these reactions are for Chris Jericho this deep into the run. Like they're no longer just some sort of like return pop. Like they are a sustained, genuine appreciation for Chris Jericho at this point. And I mean, you know, how did we get here? Like maybe it's just he's just on a good string of like entertaining bits and segments right now.
He's just got to disappear for a year every now and then.
I don't know if that was necessarily going to save him, honestly. Like, not by the temperature of like, you know, how many people were looking forward to him coming back, but now he's like a genuinely welcome addition to this roster.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's not as the case. Like, I think there's probably a certain level where there would be some pushback. Like, if this guy was, you know, Indy Owen or he was in that title picture, it might be a bit tougher.
I'm not sure, man. I
don't
feel
know.
like people would want that.
Well, I would say to the point, it's not like he's just like he's in a very, noteworthy program, like this thing with Ricochet and GOA. He's attached to, the Bucks and the Elite now as well. No, he was the most popular guy in this match. So yeah, it has certainly been the case since he has come back. Renee is with Darby Allin and is previewing the match with Mike Bailey. He is not numb to this pain, says it's the greatest feeling in the world to be champion, and he wants to shave MJF bald because he's the most vain man alive, and he will do anything it takes to keep this belt tonight from Speedball. He wants Speedball to do the exact same thing. Ciampa and Mark Briscoe, they too were going to do anything it took to win tonight's match. It's an anything goes match. Ciampa is 4-0 against Mark Briscoe in their past matches. And we immediately have Mark Briscoe bringing a trash can full of weapons, which Ciampa reaches in for and gets hit with a mouse trap in this trash can.
A rat trap, John.
A rat trap. What's the difference
bigger.
between a rat trap and a mouse trap? Is
Well,
a rat trap bigger?
Much bigger, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should use those. Mouse traps.
Do you
not
have a rat
effective.
problem?
No, I have a mouse problem, but I can't catch them with mouse traps.
I don't know if a bigger trap necessarily helps.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't, but it couldn't go worse than these ones. These
Yeah.
mice just roam.
Are they still there?
I haven't seen it in a while. I'm hoping it's just one, but it's probably a whole colony that's.
Maybe I'll share
my
some
house.
of the poison I got from my guy.
Oh, poison. Okay, that's another way to go. Ciampa wraps the chain around the neck.
That's what
of
they should have used in this match. I think that it was only missing rat poison.
A rat poison match.
Yeah.
Okay, that could be Darby's backup plan if this title run doesn't keep going. So Briscoe is thrown through a table on the floor, and then the cheese grater is brought in. He rips open Mark Briscoe's forehead, uses a crowbar, and then we get the stuffed animal of a chicken that Ciampa then auditions for next year's clusterfuck with, as he beats the stuffed animal with a chair. And then I kid you not, Ciampa hits this stuffed animal with Project Ciampa and goes to pin it. And this fucking referee starts counting, and Briscoe yanks.
Was it Bryce Rumsberg by chance? I don't actually remember.
It probably was. I don't know who the ref was, but a good shot. And Briscoe yanks the referee out to save the stuffed animal. Only Mark Briscoe could get away with this in a match like this.
Hard to believe that this was the same match that also featured some of the spots later on, but this received one of the bigger reactions of the entire match. Yeah.
Yes, he took a bump for the stuffed animal.
They did say anything goes.
Anything went here.
Yeah.
The fire extinguisher is brought out by Mark Briscoe. We got cookie sheets blasting each guy over the head, and then a stapler and barbed wire brought out, and Briscoe is in the midst of stapling barbed wire to the table when Ciampa attacks him, finishes the job, and then staples the format sheets to Briscoe's head. This was not the level of the syringes that I had just seen on Sunday. This was nothing. Ciampa
It does make me think about how much meat is between your scalp and your skull for objects like that to just latch onto. It can't be that much.
Yeah, it's plenty. If Jun Kasai can do it, imagine all the scar tissue Nate Diaz has built up. He could probably, you could put a phone book attached to his head. Be no problem. So Mark gets hit. Mark gets the screwdriver and stabs Ciampa. So we have both men bleeding. And Ciampa hits him with a knee pad full of tacks. So he's down. Ciampa then follows with an attempt at a psycho driver off the turnbuckle. That's stopped. So then Mark Briscoe puts the chairs back to back on the mat and hits an iconoclasm to Ciampa on top of the chair. Dude, I would take the fucking format sheet to my forehead. I would give a Project Ciampa to.
You would take rat poison over an iconoclasm onto an open chair.
I'm sorry, man. I just watched that and I was like, number one, this is going to be the least remembered thing that they do in this match, and it's probably going to be the longest lasting in terms of damage. Oh my God.
I wouldn't say least remembered, but okay, yes, I understand.
More people are going to remember the stuffed animal than they are going to this chair spot.
Maybe just as many. You could have a point. especially like with Tommaso Ciampa, like the amount of miles that are already on that body, you're taking a big risk, you know. Maybe it looked worse than it actually felt. Is my hope.
Let's hope for it.
Yeah.
Crazy spot here. Ciampa is then put on through the barbed wire table with the J Driller, rolled in, Froggy Bow, and Mark Briscoe wins 14 minutes and 15 seconds in a match that easily could have been run on Sunday's pay-per-view. Like, this was totally at that pay-per-view level where they just had this insane anything goes match. And the final shot, and then I'll let you get in here, Ciampa is laid on the mat, and they've got like, it's like a pull focus with Ciampa with the chicken right in front of him. And that's the shot at the end here. It was great.
This match was absolutely insane, and I was not expecting it for a TV match. The conservative in me would certainly say that this maybe at some point, like, you could have saved this one for a pay-per-view, but I mean, I think that's the high bar, number one, that you would expect of a Dynamite these days, where like this type of match kind of feels like it has a place on a show like this, where every show feels like it's almost pay-per-view caliber. And if you're somebody like a Ciampa, you might not know your next opportunity to have a pay-per-view hardcore match like this, right? So I think he's still in a position now where he's still really wanting to prove himself and to prove that he's not the same guy that we just saw in the SmackDown Tag Team division. You know, he's not even the same guy that we saw in NXT. You know, like that, and I think the character that he developed back then, like, fits so well into, like, especially AEW, because not only is he, like, you know, just sadistic, but now he can actually show it through the use of blood, through the use of weapons like this. And I mean, he got to do a hardcore AEW match to its fullest abilities, with staples, with the iconoclasm, you know, through the steel chairs and just all this crazy shit. They delivered a pay-per-view level of violence, and it was certainly a lot of fun, you know, watching Tommaso Ciampa especially do this type of match, living up to the Psycho Killer name, I would say.
I'm just going to interrupt here with this story that had just broken before we had started, and that was that Marcel Barthel, who is El Grande Americano, Ludwig Kaiser, was arrested earlier today in Florida. This is according to PWInsider.com. Barthel was arrested on charges of battery. We are still working on the details of the incident, which took place this afternoon. We're told it was not a domestic incident and can confirm Barthel was bonded out of Orange County Corrections in Orlando on a $1,000 bail, 11 p.m. this evening. So this is very recent. And yes, WWE is yet to comment so far. And yeah, so I mean, we will await details here on you know, the severity of this, and if there is going to be any type of action taken by WWE as well.
Don't really know much about the details other than the fact that he was arrested. Don't know what happened. But you know, the man is, I mean, main eventing.
He's got the biggest match of his career in a week and a half. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. Shivani is in the ring and gets interrupted by Prince Nana, who brings out Swerve, and Swerve gets jumped by Bandito, and they have this big brawl, including a tope con hero by Bandito, and then Bandito shifts his attention to Nana, and Swerve takes out the knee and goes for a vertebreaker onto the chair, which I did not have to see so close after the Ciampa spot, but he blocks it, hits the one-armed gorilla press slam onto Swerve, and then he tried a 21-plex onto the chair, but it stopped, and Swerve whips the chair at Bandito, who I think was going to catch it, but did not catch it, so he just lifted it up, and that was the interaction between these two. Okay, segment. I think they're going to have a tremendous match, though, on Sunday.
Yeah, and like, I'm not feeling a ton of personal heat for this one, and this, especially being like part of the opening round of the Owen, makes it feel more like a stepping stone for Swerve rather than, I mean, you know, something maybe a bit more substantial. But given that it's Bandito versus Swerve, even with no bigger story, like, this is expected to steal the show, or at least be a contender for match of the night. Yeah.
Yeah, by hour 5, I think people will be ready for this match on Sunday. Willow Nightingale is in the locker room, and she reflects on winning the Owen in the past, all the various championships. She mentions winning this belt back from Mercedes, and you don't know where this is going. And then finally she states that she injured her shoulder against Red Velvet last week, and she has to withdraw from the Owen and relinquish the TBS title after making 10 defenses, but promises she will be back. And so they are just listing now a wild card participant to face Alex Windsor. But this is not anymore. This is no longer being promoted for Double or Nothing, which Willow and Alex was. And in its place will be Mina Shirakawa and Athena's opening round match added to Sunday's show. But yeah, this totally came out of nowhere. And I would think that this, like just going through the brackets last week, I thought at worst she's going to the final, if not winning it. So I bet you this blows up the entire tournament, this loss. And the fact that she's relinquishing the belt, you have to imagine this is surgery.
You could be right. Yeah. Heartbreaking, of course. You know, she was on an incredible run. I think they're really building to clearly some sort of like big moment with this comeback killer run of hers. It's unfortunate we're not going to see that story end. Like who was going to be the comeback that was ultimately going to dethrone her? You know, that's sort of the expectation, right?
So before I heard this news about Willow tonight, if you just pull up the brackets, I was thinking about this. Like me and Bruce went over this last week and we're just kind of reacting to it that night. And after looking at this, I was thinking, you know what? It's almost so tailor-made for this. Like no offense, but Sky Blue really stands out here. That the idea of Sky Blue somehow getting like attacked or taken out, and Mercedes comes in. And think about this. Mercedes comes in, and you get Mercedes and Saray, which seems like a way bigger match if you're going to book Saray. Then you get Mercedes and Athena, and then you get the big Willow-Mercedes final. And that's where I thought that this had a chance of like going. And that's just purely guesswork. But obviously that's out the window. But the idea of Mercedes being in this tournament, I would imagine she's not around or else would have been figured into this tournament already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that might be assuming that Mercedes was going to be the comeback that would have ultimately dethroned Willow. But then would you want to, again, go back to Mercedes and Willow? Would that always have been the plan? Or, you know, anyway, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. But whoever this wild card is, could very well be somebody on the level of a Mercedes. The only thing is that, I mean, if you were going to have Mercedes be the wild card, would you not want that for Double or Nothing, even as a surprise? Or is that something more of a, you know, Dynamite reveal?
Yeah. Right? I could also see, like, if they don't have, like, the big card to play like a Mercedes, you know, the fact that this is not happening at Double or Nothing anymore, like, could you put Jamie Hayter in to face her partner?
Hayter's in the match. Oh, you mean like, the fact that it's not
into
there.
the tournament?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that would be interesting. Sure. I don't think that would be a disappointment at all.
It's like the two British wrestlers that want to advance.
The Birds.
You could do that. Yeah, but anyway, it sucks for Willow. Like, I figured she was going to be a huge part of this tournament, and she probably was.
I guess the question is now, even if like Allin is in the cards for her.
Again, we don't know the severity of it, but if she needs surgery, then that's out the window. But we don't know for sure. Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly in an eliminator match. I was so looking forward to this when they announced. This is O'Reilly's first singles match since he's come back, and they play it up really heavily, how he's tapped out Moxley twice. He's just always got this guy's number, and Moxley is obsessed. This is like Matt Hughes, who was just on this dominant run, but he had these 2 losses to Dennis Hallman. It's just like Dennis Hallman, this just random fighter, had his number, and he never got that win back. So I'm sure that's exactly what John Moxley is. He's Matt Hughes.
I'm sure he's very familiar with the
I
reference.
would actually imagine both these guys are very familiar with Dennis Hallman. So they go to the mat at the start, and I mean, this was basically Tony Khan's blood sport for a good portion of this match. Kyle gets mount. He gets they start clinching on the feet, and then they're trading blows, and Moxley connects with a liver shot. And Kyle just goes down, and he is just
sold beautifully.
Dude, I thought this was so awesome. I loved this liver shot, and it was sold by Kyle for the whole rest of the match. He had to adjust his offense. The guy couldn't run the fucking ropes because of this liver shot. He collapsed after running the ropes. The only thing I'll say was, like, it did feel like the announcers were like not quite on. Like, it wasn't until way later that Excalibur like figured it was a liver shot, because it was almost like the announcers felt confused when he went down,
It
But it was
could have
very
been the
clear what
ribs.
he was
It could have
doing.
been, yeah.
Anyway, so Moxley just targets the body, and there's a handprint on Kyle's ribs. Kyle's just clutching his side this whole time. Moxley goes for a Darce setup and moves to the Bulldog, and it's Kyle reversing out. He's trying for the ankle lock. They're just going back and forth, and you're getting the time updates. And as they go toward the final minute, Kyle drops from a body shot, and he avoids a stomp and puts Moxley in the ankle lock. And the seconds are counting down, and Moxley just holds on, and the bell finally rings at the 20-minute mark. And so he doesn't tap, but that means that Kyle gets a title match, which is going to happen this Sunday, with the caveat that there is no time limit. So I thought this was great. I will always enjoy these two together, and you'll get them again on Sunday.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, stylistically, like this is some of my favorite stuff, especially for Kyle O'Reilly. You know, like Mox continues to bring out the best out of Kyle O'Reilly that we've seen in AEW, and it makes O'Reilly look like a serious contender in ways that I don't think many others in AEW have been able to, because Moxley is a top guy. But because, stylistically he wrestles, or he can wrestle the type of style that highlights Kyle O'Reilly's ability so well, it makes you certainly think of Kyle more than just, I would say, the sort of comedy leading character that he typically is as part of the conglomeration. And that was the incredible momentum that they built for O'Reilly all the way up until the Continental Classic before he had to bow out due to injury. So this felt almost like a way to reheat and to remind us of the level that Kyle O'Reilly was at before the injury kind of like cut him off. And I would say it was pretty successful here, like in Moxley finally succumbing. How many of these eliminator matches has he been taking the distance for? Is this
Moxley?
The first one? Yeah.
I think so.
Again, chat room, please correct us, of course. But it doesn't happen too often. And so for Kyle O'Reilly, 1/3 of the trios champions, to be able to do that just, again, continues to remind you of what Jon Moxley's kryptonite is. And it is specifically Kyle O'Reilly and that ankle lock. So as a way to just build up to a quick, I would say, build to a match for Moxley at Double or Nothing, I mean, it worked really well. It's the type of thing that I wish, I don't think it's happening, but I would love for O'Reilly to actually win this match, just to be able to maintain that kryptonite appeal to him for Jon Moxley for the rest of his career. But I don't think it's happening this time.
Yeah, well, think of what they have done now, where this is a match where the accomplishment is for Moxley to win the match, not for Kyle O'Reilly. This now think if when we went back, the first time they promoted this match, it was just a nothing match on TV. And now it's this is this huge mountain for Moxley to climb, where now getting the win over Kyle O'Reilly is this huge achievement for him. It's been a 6-month story of him just not being able to figure this guy out.
Yeah.
So great match that they had. Renee's was Statlander and Shida, and Statlander is not cleared, but is expected to at Double or Nothing. And so that's that. And Shida cut her off as she was being asked about Willow Nightingale. So Shida was being extra annoying in this promo by design.
I think the character work is really developing well for Shida, and I would say audiences I think are able to fully understand and react to her, I think, the way that they're intending. So yeah, going well.
Rush issued a challenge for next week if Darby Allin is still champion. Yes. So
yeah.
I think this is a misdirect. I think that this is going to be. I think we're going to get Rush and MJF.
I mean, if it is a red herring, I think it's a really well placed one. But
I think so too. It makes sense, and they're obviously been building Rush up. But that was my.
So do you think this? I mean, obviously they're building Rush up for something, right?
Yes.
You think that something is MJF instead
I think so.
Darby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could also see MJF losing and Darby retaining.
It's certainly possible. Mm-hmm. Triangle of Madness and Athena against Thunder Rosa, Mina Shirakawa, Alex Windsor, and Jamie Hayter. So Rosa gets the tag later in the match, and Everyone's in. All 8 women go down. Athena's dive gets stopped by a kick from Shirakawa from the floor and then hits a tornado DDT to Athena on the floor. Sky Blue is dragged out by the Brawling Birds, and Tekla goes for a belt shot but is stopped by the referee. And with the referee's back turned, Julia Hart uses the Black Mist on Thunder Rosa as Tekla rolls her up in 9 minutes and 42 seconds.
The only black that I think you will see on this roster anytime soon.
Don't you see the Easter egg? Did you see the sock she was wearing? As a symbol.
The sock.
It means the countdown. I'm so surprised people missed that.
I'm going to be really sad if we don't get someplace where you can recap and do that promo.
Hey, House of Torture needs a leader. Okay, well,
TNA, maybe you could start.
He was made for the undead realm. Hello, Rosemary. Jet Speed and Kevin Knight. So these are, part of this is that, this turn is so coming between Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. They're just dialing this up so heavily.
They like each other way too much.
Yeah, this is just it's way too much. Like if you ever said this to me, I'd be looking over my back. And he just says how you're the next champion, and I would love to challenge you. You would? Let's do it, man. And then they just stare into the camera. It's like watching, Power Rangers from 1993. Look at this. Death Riders are doing push-ups, and Renee tries to interview her husband, who announces, "We don't do moral victories around here. We don't make up things to celebrate." And he thanks Kyle O'Reilly for pushing him to be better and driving him crazy. "You've tapped me out twice this Sunday. What are your odds?" He says, "Let's go double or nothing, because finally the house is going to win. Game 7 is the only one that matters here." It's like Mark Messier guaranteeing the win in '94 for the Rangers.
I don't think Messier ever cut a promo like this.
Oh, he got a pretty good promo before that last Canucks game, but yeah, this was better.
I thought this was just such a great Moxley promo, and it's like he's so consistent at this level that it's like, we don't even really bat an eye, but this would be most people's best promos of their career. And he cuts this incredibly intense promo full of great metaphors about gambling, and it's all through his wife. He's talking to O'Reilly, looking at his wife as if his wife was Kyle O'Reilly, and it's just the fact that he's talking to his wife is not even something we really think about all that much, because I think they've done a great job of just, again, maintaining this sort of professional, relationship that these two share on screen.
They don't do the interviews. It's she's usually doing the Megan O'Leary role for his matches. She's always there. And that's really the connection on the show. This was one of the rare interviews.
But Mox's intensity and his ability to just kind of draw you into the story is so good. You're not even thinking about the fact that he's talking to his wife here,
Yeah, I don't think this match is big enough, but maybe for his All-In program, that's when we have to bring back the Renee and Moxley drive-along.
I hated that personally, but yeah, most people seem to like it. Mm-hmm.
What if they were in a horse and buggy in London?
A horse and buggy? What if they were in the middle, changing their kid's diaper?
So I just imagined a better one where Moxley's driving, but it's in England, so he's on the other side, and he's trying to figure out driving on the right side of the car.
You're thinking about Total Divas, okay, where they've had plenty of these interactions.
Oh, did they? Okay, I missed Total Divas. Darby and Speedball for the AEW Championship. MJF comes out for commentary, and Bayley goes for Ultimate Weapon immediately, and that stopped. So Darby, I guess getting inspired from the Ciampa Briscoe spot, hits Bayley with a Scorpion Death Drop on the barricade, and Bayley got his spine readjusted. Allin puts him on the steps, places the steps onto his foot, and then connects with a Tope Suicida. Bayley misses with Ultima Weapon and then gets hit with a coffin drop onto the back and goes for the cover, but MJF pops up from the desk and puts Bayley's foot on the rope. So Kevin Knight comes down to confront MJF, and we get Bayley with his tornado kick combo, moonsault double knees, and then tries for the flamingo driver. It's countered, and he hits the Scorpion Death Drop on Bayley, puts him into the Scorpion Death Lock, and as he's reaching he makes it to the rope, and as soon as he does, Darby releases the hold and nails him with a coffin drop, puts him back into the death lock, and Bayley is looking at Kevin Knight, and Kevin Knight's like, come on, and Bayley taps in 11 minutes, and I think in this moment, Kevin Knight realized, I'm teaming with a loser, and this is going to be the moment. This is going to be the breaking point. This is happening in Montreal. That's my guarantee.
The turn happening in Montreal. Okay, interesting.
Or like the match in Montreal.
The match.
I'm thinking something with these two in Montreal.
It's just like, obviously, I think Knight could do a great job playing a heel, but it's just hard for me to like really see it right now. And I wonder if like they'll just go in as a double babyface match. Anyway, getting ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that in the future. This was an excellent match, as all of these Darby matches have been. It really has been just an unprecedented title run here. And I thought in this one, this was kind of interesting in that, like, I think Darby presented a very beatable opponent for Mike Bailey here. He is the same size. And because Darby is so weakened from this run, like, Bailey looked, at least in story, to have like a real chance. And I thought his intensity in wrestling the match from like, from the get-go really felt like he was like, like it felt like Bailey was wrestling, feeling like he was the closest he has ever been to becoming a world champion, and that he was only this one move or two moves away from achieving it. And that urgency, I thought, really played itself out throughout the rest of the match. The finish helped put the Scorpion Deathlock over, and it was, again, convincing here because Darby is the same size as his opponent, and so it feels like the torque would be that painful for somebody like a Speedball. And you couple that with like the great barrage of like coffin drops that I think has made all of his finishes very convincing. Maybe not as substantial or as long as like some of the other matches that he's had on this run, but I thought just as satisfying, and it adds to this incredible run that he's been on.
Knight tells Bayley, keep your head up. You gave Darby the toughest fight of his life. Darby's like, I don't know, toughest of my life. Like, this guy. Did you see that skateboarding video that surfaced this week of him?
No.
Oh my God, dude. He goes off a roof and he just crashes onto the pavement. And he just
did this recently?
No, this is an older video, but it was like, I would imagine he's engaging in this type of stuff regularly, but nonetheless, it was like the amount of damage this man has probably done to his body just skateboarding is probably insane without the wrestling combined.
Yeah, and probably to him, like, this is, I don't know, falling off of like a balcony through tables is probably nothing, because he's probably seen worse with skateboarding.
The man is about to headline a show with 14,000 people on pay-per-view for the World Championship, so we will see what is in store. He tells Bayley he's proud of him, puts over Darby as a great champion, and tells Darby, if I can beat MJF, I know you can beat him, and we'll be waiting on you. Don't disappoint us. We're counting on you, Darby. This was actually the moment I figured Darby's losing the belt on Sunday.
You could be right. Could be.
Kevin Knight is going to realize these guys are losers. I'm the only winner here. I beat MJF. And a jet speed takeoff, and then MJF returns. He had gone into the crowd, jumps Darby, and he pulls out a razor, and he's going to slice Darby. He was going to go Father Jim Mitchell on Raven here, and Darby stops him. He gets the razor and goes for MJF's hair, but he manages to escape.
Yeah. I think they've done a great job with this entire build so far. Even like the idea of like something that is usually kind of played for a comedy in somebody getting their head shaved. I think like through Darby's promos, he explained it really well here in that on this episode, in that it's not necessarily just kind of making him look silly. It's attacking his vanity, which is the thing that he maybe values the most, the thing that will constantly remind him of just how much, how much of a mark, I guess Darby left on him. So even then, I think he's explained it really well. And Darby has just been so incredible in promos and, of course, these matches that, it feels like a big main event to me.
It does. Like this is a loaded show, but the success of this show, like if this show does well, and I feel this show is going to do well, it's on this main event. Like this is the very clear-cut number one match on the show. I think they've done a very good job. Like this is one where, the stipulation means a ton, but it's like this run of Darby, like I wouldn't discount that either. Like, you're going to get an unbelievable match between these two. And I do feel that means something here in all of this beyond just having an enticing stipulation attached to it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Ospreay and Shibata kicks off the Collision Hour, and we see Ospreay here after taking a snap suplex on the edge and then another on the floor. We are told that his new finisher, the flying cross arm breaker, is now the Death Ground, which sounds like the high school band that you're probably going to skip at talent night. Death Ground. Yeah, man. We're going to get there early. We're going to see Death Ground. They're playing their new hit, Mom's Muffins.
When we were in school, like I think they would be like Tuesday mornings Death Ground or something. Like it'd be like an emo band with like a day of the week attached to it.
Grounded to Death is an awful name for a submission, but we're probably going to hear it a lot in the lead up to London. Ospreay gets on offense. He eats these kicks as he rallies, hits a forearm to the back of the head, and sets up for a hidden blade when Anthony Bowens appears, and this allows Shibata to hit a hidden blade, but Ospreay kicks out, and then Shafir arrives with Claudio to confront Bowens. Oscutter is blocked, and we get a low blow and an armbar by Shibata. I think he was watching the Best of the Super Juniors this morning. And the triangle by Shibata gets lifted, slams Shibata, follows with a Styles Clash, and then uses the hidden blade in 10 minutes and 48 seconds, meaning Shibata was not Death Ground worthy.
I guess in the case of like a submission expert, you maybe better to use something else. But I thought a really fun match, and I think like Shibata still like stands among the best on this roster in terms of just like technique, you know. So he's still a lot of fun to watch, and especially like in a match like this where I think he is the perfect type of opponent to showcase Ospreay's growing grappling abilities en route to a Samoa Joe match. I find it interesting how the Death Riders continue to be able to flip back and forth here between their babyface and heel roles. Here, like they're saving Ospreay from these numbers advantages, but then like, you know, when they're facing Darby Allin opposite, like with Pac or something, they're trying to gain the numbers advantage, like just through blatant cheating. But it's just kind of what we come to expect from them. They can flip depending on who they're facing.
Samoa Joe comes out and he says he's going to give Will his dream match by putting him to sleep. Clever. And then Ospreay gets the mic and he says, "This is my dream come true, bruv." He says that people have been claiming that he's lost it, that he lost his physique, he's lost too much weight. Yeah, no shit. I had double neck fusion surgery. And he says 10 years ago, his career would be over. Now these people doubt me. And he says, "Joe, you've been telling people that you're going to kill me for 20 years. How can you kill someone that's already died in this ring?" He came up short last year, and it's 8 at him. And this year, the stakes are high because the winner goes to Wembley, the biggest stadium in my country and the place every kid in my school wanted to be in. And he says, "I have a whole country on my back. The Death Riders killed the old version of Ospreay and have rebuilt him into a killer, into an assassin." And he starts his road to fulfill his dream on Sunday and grabbing his wife's ass.
Oh, he did say that. Not at the end of the promo, but
no, that preceded this monologue.
Yeah. I thought a great fiery promo from Will Ospreay. One that feels like it's the maybe genuine start of his maybe Wembley journey here, specifically mentioning like his desire to want to headline that show because of it's the dream of every person who's grown up in Britain, I think. Right?
Maybe some of them are dreaming about Joe going to Wembley. Maybe that's the dream of some.
That's possible too. Yeah.
I'm hoping that Sunday's match is going to be like we've seen a little bit of it of Ospreay, but I want to see him as like this submission ace on Sunday that's introducing all this stuff. And I think it's really important he submits Joe with this armbar. Like I think if you're gonna make this move like your big tool that you've added, you got to be like submitting big guys with it.
I think he should tease it. I think he should make it credible
I think beating Joe with it makes it really credible.
Yeah, but to have Samoa Joe?
Exactly. That's exactly the reaction you should have.
So I understand if it's like, I don't know, like a wrestling move, okay? But this is kind of based in reality, and when you're talking about submissions, I think it has to feel a lot more credible. It has to look a lot more credible. And I just think like having somebody like a Samoa Joe tap out just to a straight arm bar, again, depends how they do it. Maybe there's like a way to enter into it, like, you know, with preceding action that makes it a lot more convincing. Yeah, it could be done.
You establish like if this can submit Joe, it can submit anyone. This is the deadly submission that this guy.
So they didn't even have him beat Shibata with it.
Well,
right?
I think they should have beaten. They should have used this. Like, this is the move you're trying to get over. He should be beating credible guys with it. And I'm fine if they want to win. Like, Joe is the big introduction of this.
It just feels a little bit of a step too far. Maybe that's just me, because I was just like, you're thinking about Samoa Joe. Like, he's a submission guy. But yeah, they could, sure.
We go to the staircase. And there's Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. And Copeland gives the Coles notes of their entire history, meeting in 6th grade over a Ninja Star, becoming friends, wanting to become tag champions. They've done everything together. This is real. And we've made a connection with you. And you've watched us grow up and become men. And FTR want to kill this connection that we have with our fans. We want the best version of FTR because we want to make the best version of FTR quit. And finally, Copeland brought up attacking his wife, that he needs to beat this version of FTR at their best. And then Cage is like, okay, we're not selling this pay-per-view on Ninja Stars and this friendship. He says, FTR, you've made some questionable choices. When you're born, you look like your family. When you die, you look like your choices. And in New York, we're going to fuck you up.
Mm-hmm. Really, really solid promo from both of them, especially Cope. I felt I really enjoyed. Does it ever like? What do you think when like you hear that like we've been watching these guys for 30 years? We actually have seen them grow up.
Yeah, I mean they've been on television for 3 decades, so that's a long time.
It's kind of strange.
I don't think they're trying to camouflage that these are old guys. Like that is kind of the gimmick. These guys have been around for a long time.
But isn't it strange that like if you happen to be like a celebrity like this, where like you can have it in recorded form like 30 years of your life, and somebody tomorrow could just type in, and like you and I,
we are gonna have the life of Brody Lee Jr.
Yeah, the whole life.
in wrestling chapters. Okay,
yeah, it's true. Yeah. But like in the case of like Cage and Cope, it's like it's kind of strange because like we will still go back and forth to watch like something from, I don't know, 1998 involving these two. And anyway, sorry.
You're getting sentimental about this match.
It's just kind of crazy to think about.
Roosh comes out and he murdered independent wrestler TJ Crawford in a minute with the bull's horns just to get him on the show. Not much to it. Divine Dominion, kind of the same thing with Kayla Lopez and Elle Valentine. And they lift them up for delayed verticals, and Valentine gets dropped on top of Lopez when they drop them. Double choke slam, 2 minutes, 50 seconds as they continue their 5-minute challenges.
Yeah. I like the gimmick. Like, I like the 5-minute challenge gimmick. I do think like they're doing a whole thing where like they're really kind of like playing with their food. They're just like taking their time. And I do feel like while that might be fun in theory, it's not the most exciting to watch. You know, to watch people just kind of like walk slow and just move slow before like finishing their matches. So I do maybe hope for a little bit more intensity. My preference is just like the quick Roosh type of like quick beat down, emphatic, and you make your statement that way. Anyway, but it's a great idea, I think.
And then they promote Darby Allin's feature on ESPN.com by Andreas Hale. Mm-hmm. I thought this was really interesting on many levels. I mean, this is it's very interesting because it would seem that Andreas has pretty much been iced out of being able to do any WWE coverage. And I don't know if this was something where Andreas pitched this. I don't know if it was AEW pitched this to ESPN, but it's a really interesting way of like Andreas is not going to get any WWE access, and he's got AEW that can see an opening here of like, this is the prime audience you want to be hitting online when it comes to wrestling fans is through ESPN here.
Right. And I guess if you're ESPN, maybe this will, calm some of the accusations that you are strictly a WWE bias like source. So I'm trying to look here at how much AEW coverage they actually have, other than this, and it is nothing other than this article. I mean, the last thing that they had was from 128 days ago, an AEW live televised and pay-per-view event schedule. So this is like their
schedule.
Their schedule. Yeah. So this is like their first AEW thing in quite some time.
Wow.
Okay.
Whoever, like, if this was AEW's idea, like, I think it's a smart idea. Like, it's an outlet that is, I mean, at least Andreas is not getting that access, and it's just a really interesting note. And AEW obviously saw this. Like, how many times is AEW promoting this and name dropping Andreas Hale here? I mean, this was very clear of like what AEW was trying to get across here as well. Then it's a
good article. I
haven't had a chance to read it, but I'm sure it was very, very strong. They showed a video package of like past head shavings in AEW, all promoting Sunday's match. And then we concluded the broadcast with FTR against Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy for the tag belts. So Cassidy gets tagged in, nearly catches Dax with a sunset flip, and then it's Orange Cassidy ducking on the edge as Cassius flies into the post off the apron. Strong is out of position for a tag, and it leads to a pile driver by Dax onto Orange Cassidy. We went through 2 picture-in-picture breaks on this. The match started at around 10:45, and we had 2 breaks here. So you knew this one was going lengthy. Paul Turner catches FTR after they did a switch, and then Strong is knocked into the corner post. Orange Cassidy avoids a shatter machine and cradles Cash the same way he beat Dax in the Double Jeopardy match. And FTR, they mock Orange Cassidy, putting their hands in the tights with the weak kicks. Stokely swings at him with the stolen watch from Christian, misses, and Dax runs into Stokely, rolls him up for a 2 count, and then the orange punch is caught into a shatter machine. In comes Roderick for the save, and then it's Orange sent into the ropes, and this time Stokely clocks him with the watch, and Dax pins him, retaining the belts in 18 and a half minutes to conclude our 3-hour, 12-minute show with a nice overrun. You don't want to just end right at the top of the hour. You gotta ease people down after 3 hours of wrestling.
Right. The action was very good. It's just really hard for me to stay focused, especially knowing the likely outcome here for FTR defending the tag titles days before they're set to challenge Cope and Christian, like their biggest rivals that they've been building up to on the pay-per-view. So
with their careers on the line, I thought they were going to go with Strong and Cassidy.
Yeah, you think so? Huh?
They could face Copeland and Cage.
Yeah, so it's just like for whatever reason, I understand like you want to sort of like peak this show towards the end of the actual Dynamite portion at 10 o'clock. But as a viewing experience for the whole 3 hours, ending on such a sort of like come down with like these Roosh and Divine Dominion jobber matches all the way to, I would say, a pretty lame duck, albeit great action filled, but like in terms of like stakes and just, drama, a pretty lame duck main event. It does not make for a very satisfying experience. And in fact, kind of makes it feel like you're getting too much of this product, and that I don't think is a feeling you want to give your audience ahead of a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's just a lot, and I would say overall, like this was, I didn't feel the show dragging. I would say until like the last maybe 30-40 minutes. This tag match on its own, it was a very good tag match. It's just the totality of everything. Like these shows are, they pack a lot into these 3-hour shows as well. In terms of Double or Nothing, did you feel they did a pretty effective job of promoting Sunday's show?
Well, do you want to go through the whole card, just to not necessarily preview, but just to let people know what the final?
Yeah, we'll read the card. Darby Allin and MJF title versus hair match for the championship. John Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly for the Continental Championship. In the Owen Hart Cup quarterfinals. Athena against Mina Shirakawa. Bandito against Swerve. Samoa Joe against Will Ospreay. Four-way for the women's title with Tekla, Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander. Stadium Stampede 7-on-7 match. FTR defending the tag titles in an I Quit match against Cage and Copeland. If Cage and Cope lose, they must retire as a tag team. And Okada Takeshita for the AEW International title.
I think it's an incredible looking card. Like, Okada Takeshita alone, I feel like it feels like it's worth the price of admission. I think they've done an incredible job building up Darby Allin versus MJF as just an incredible title match with like big stakes attached to it in either direction. Moxley O'Reilly just simply being added here, I think promises a great technical wrestling match. Ospreay versus Joe looks incredible. Bandito versus Swerve looks incredible. I'll say, Stadium Stampede, not to mention. I'll say I think on the women's front, it looks relatively weak. Like Tekla versus Shida versus Hayter versus Statlander does not feel like it's a compelling match with any sort of like result that's in question. I just don't buy any of the challengers having a run, other than Tekla retaining. And Athena Mina, like that's sort of something that they're kind of up against because they were going to have Willow versus Windsor, but even Willow versus Windsor wouldn't have seemed that big, so I feel like the women are taking a big backseat on the show.
And I'm going to guess that these are all going to be the pay-per-view, and we're probably getting like 4 matches on the buy-in as well. Right. So that will probably be made known in the coming days as well. So there you go. That is Double or Nothing. And we are going to be back many more times this week. Thursday, we are going to be presenting Rewind Away as we're going back to the summer of 2015 for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, a very famous show. The first time NXT ran the Barclays Center with the match between Sasha Banks and Bayley, as well as Finn Balor defending the NXT title against Kevin Owens in the top matches, plus Jushin Liger to thread Super Brawl to TakeOver. Yeah. Our 2 reviews back to back.
A lot of people with, I think, some very fond memories of this particular show as maybe, I don't know, for a lot of them, maybe their biggest exposure to NXT, I want to say. And therefore, maybe you could say this generation of like acts, for the WWE. I look forward to maybe reliving some of these memories of this whole thing.
All right. And then later on this week, Way will be up with Neil on Friday night for Rewind to SmackDown, and then it is into a very busy weekend. Saturday night's main event on Saturday, coincidentally.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's that. Okay.
Followed by Double or Nothing on
forgot.
Sunday. It is a very long weekend coming up.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you, John.
We missed you. We're going to say goodbye on YouTube, but we're going to continue on the forum.